Hi everybody, welcome along to part 2 of How to Sow Seeds workshop. We've already had a little look at our various little parts on our seeds. We've had a wee quick look at the development of the seed as it grows on. What we're going to look at now is having a wee look at the sorts of equipment and compost and things that are available for you to use, and also some options on different things that you can use. So for example, if you don't have access to pots and trays and things like that, what could you use? I want to have a wee look at composts and just show you some of the ones that I've got. So we'll go over to the pot shed and have a wee look at that. Only because it's extremely bright in here today, so sorry if I'm squinting, but that's why. It's a lovely day outside, but it's very, very bright in here. So have a wee look at compost and things as well, and also some of the additional bits and pieces that you can add in. And again, that's very much a preference thing, but additives that you can put in as well to help sow your seeds, or help germinate your seeds, or help light get to them. So there's various things that we can have a wee look at there as well. And then we're going to do some seed sowing. So I'll show you some bigger seeds and how to sow them, and sort of more medium-sized seeds. And then I'll show you what I would do with really, really small seeds. And again, there's lots of preferences surrounding this. There's lots of different ways that people do it. But ideally, at the end of the day, just give it a go. See what works best for you. I've been shown a way to do it because that's how we were shown to do it on my course that I'm studying. But yeah, have a go. Just give it a go and see how you get on. And we'll take it from there. So I'm going to finish this little bit just now before I go blind. It's really bright in here. Next we'll go and have a wee look at the potting shed and see what I've got in there. So a little bit limited in there at the moment, as I say, but I'll explain that obviously when I'm over there. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, let's go to the potting shed. Now, I'm very pleased to report that I've managed to get more compost because I was running very low on compost. But here we are, this is my little potting shed. Well, compost store come store. Bit of everything in here. Right, let's have a wee look. Show you what I've got here. I'm going to start with this. This is peat-free, all-purpose enriched compost. Okay. Ideally, we want to be trying to use peat-free as much as possible, because obviously we all know that peat reserves are not very quickly renewed, so we should be trying to use this much more. Now, it's not always easy to get, and I don't know how some people feel about it, but not everybody feels happy that it does quite the same job. Other people seem to think it's great. So for me, my jury's still out a little bit for me on it. But you see, if you have a wee look inside here, I'll try and get this in so you can see some of it. Hold on. Very sort of fibrous type quality to it. It does have fertilisers and things added in this one as well, but it's kind of coir based, these ones, and although it's much more environmentally friendly, I must admit I found it dries out an awful lot quicker. It's also not always that easy to get, and we can pay a little bit more up here for it as well. We don't all have the budgets that somebody like Monty Dawn of Gardener's World's got, for example. So but yeah, do try as much as possible to go peat free and see what else is out there for you to use as an alternative. While we're here, just to let you see, there is a whole range of different types of compost and things that you can get. Some really specialist stuff. So this is for carnivorous plants, so like say your Venus flytraps and things. Okay, very, very low in nutrients, because of course they get their nutrients from the flies that they catch. So it's really just something as a base for their roots to go into and give the plant stability. We've got things like the orchid potting mix as well. Very, very different type. Okay, if you look at that, you can see the difference in it. Orchids, of course, are air plants really. The roots like a lot of air and a lot of light round about them, and they'd be tree living. So very, very different type of substrate that these guys need. We've got cactus and succulent as well at the back there, just hiding. Specialist blend again, very sandy and gritty. And again, different nutrients. See that? I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, different nutrient quality to that again as well. What have I got here? Move that one very quickly. John and his seed. Okay, so there you go. Traditional mix of loam, peat, sand and fertiliser. So this one is peat based. Very traditional recipe, this stuff. Lower nutrient, of course, for the young seedlings. You get John and his seed, you get number 1, number 2 and number 3. I tend to use the seed and John and his number 2. Okay, so that's what I've got. The one there is just a slightly different version of the same thing. The Levington one, seed and cutting compost. So again, specifically developed for taking cuttings. If you're going to take some softwood cuttings or hardwood cuttings, then you would use this stuff, put your cuttings into this as a base, and hopefully they would root from there. Other bits and pieces, let's have a wee look. Get this one out of the way. Ugh, that. This is coir, this is cocoa coir. So what I've started doing is mixing some of this with my own garden compost, and then putting a few of my own additives through it as well. So again, it's a beautiful texture. Love the texture of it. Again, the light in here, not the best for you to see that, but it is lovely. I don't know, there's just something so nice about running your hands through earth. So that's a natural one. So I've been kind of making my own ones up. Okay. Into that I might add, come down here, a bit of potting grit. Okay, so you can either add it in as a grit. Okay. And again, to help with drainage, or you could be adding in nutrients, things like fish blood and bone mix. Okay, so I'll add a bit of my garden compost, a bit of grit, and a bit of this stuff, okay, for some nutrients in there. And if you don't have grit, here's something else you could use as well. This is perlite, so this is like the vermiculite as well. It's the same type of stuff. They use this a lot in hydroponics actually. So anyway, you're starting to see that there's lots and lots of different varieties out there for you to use, and lots of different substrates and things that you can put the plants in. So just be aware that they're there. If you don't have any of these, just use a multi-purpose. Try and go peat free, but use a multi-purpose one. Very quickly while we're in here, different pots and things. Okay, there's all sorts of different seed trays and things available for you to use as well. These are little cardboard ones. These are really good because they break down in the soil. So when you come to transplant it on, when you've got your little seedling in there, pop it in, let it grow on, and then just take the whole pot, put the whole lot in the soil. And it's actually an easier way to transplant on than doing it with the roots out. Just square pots. I quite like square pots. I wish I had a few more of these actually. You can fit more square pots in a tray much more easily, in a drip tray much more easily than you can round ones, so that's quite a good wee tip as well. And then of course all the usual round ones. So what happens if you don't have pots and things? There's all sorts of alternatives that you can use. Egg boxes, cut down some milk bottles, just take the tops off them and use them. Obviously put some drainage holes in the bottom, remember, don't forget about that. Yogurt pots is another good one. These are brilliant to cut up and use for plant labels as well, just to write on and use for plant labels. Okay, any sort of recycled plant material stuff, pots and things that you've maybe had delivered, then you can use these again and again and again with a little bit of care, and that saves that going into landfill as well. And then, if we have a wee quick look out here, just to finish off this wee bit, you could use something like an old pot. I've got one there, that one's about to get some dahlias put in it. Holes in the bottom again. You could use even some old sinks and things. Not looking as pretty as the one, but it does look a wee bit nicer in the summer. There. There's the old dog. And an old drainer board down here with some little succulents and things in it. So lots of ideas out there for you to have a wee look at and see what you want to plant up. Okay, so here we go. Let's sow some seeds. I've got here my seed compost, okay? So you're just gonna get a voice from now on. Okay, hopefully you can see my hands alright. So this is just some seed compost, one of these bags that we looked at earlier. And what I'm just going to do with it is just break it through my fingers like so, just to remove any clumps and things that are in it. You don't want great big clumps of soil in your seed tray. You want it nice and even, and nice small particles of soil for these tiny little seeds to come through. Okay, so the other thing, if I stick my fingers into this, just bury your hands completely in it, it's lovely and warm. Okay, so this is a great wee tip, a couple of good wee tips actually. First one, I keep my seed compost when I'm about to use it in the polytunnel at this time of year, because at this time of year, although it might still be quite cool outside, the polytunnel's quite warm inside, and it just helps to warm the soil up a bit for you. Now the other thing about it is if you stick your hands into it like this, and it feels cold on your hands, to the point where you can't keep your hands in the soil because it's too cold, then that's a good indication that it's too cold to sow your seeds as well. Now generally speaking, the temperatures need to be, the soil temperature needs to be above 7 degrees. Well, what is that if you don't have a thermometer? Very simple. If you can keep your hands in it and they don't start to get cold, then it's warm enough. Okay, if you shove your hands in there and it's freezing cold within a few seconds and you have to take your hands out, it's too cold for your seeds to germinate. Okay, so that's quite important. It's a great wee tip as well. So why are we breaking it up like this? Well, we're breaking it up to get rid of any of the big clumps, as we said. The other thing that's very important about this is we're breaking up to get oxygen through it. Okay, so you want to aerate the soil, you want a bit of oxygen going through it as well, because the root system needs to be able to supply oxygen. Okay, you also are looking to, if you look very I don't know if you can see this, but if you look very carefully, what I've done is I've added some vermiculite. Let's just put a wee bit more in so you can see it. So remember that stuff I was talking about earlier? Okay, I've added just a little bit. If I put that on the top, maybe you can see that now. What does that do? That helps a little bit with drainage. Okay, that helps to maintain the pore size, and all that is just the gaps between all the different particles in the soil. So if you looked at a clay particle, they're absolutely tiny. If you look at a sand particle, they're a bit bigger than clay. And then you've got grit, and then you've got soil particles. All of these are at different sizes in the soil layer. And what you're wanting to do is to create a bed where there are different pore sizes through it, because that's what lets oxygen through, that's what lets water into it, but it's also what allows water to drain. So that vermiculite just helps with the pore size of the soil as well. Now, you're sitting there saying to yourself, but Jill, I don't have compost like that, I don't have seed compost, and I don't have vermiculite. Doesn't matter, okay? Just do your best with it. If you don't have seed compost, you can use a multi-purpose compost, but the most important thing is to try and get rid of all the big clumps in it. And any big bits, right, there's a great example sitting right there on the top. If there's a huge big bit of soil in it like that, then take that out, okay, because your wee seed's not going to be able to compete with that, okay, so we'll get rid of that. So you can use just multi-purpose compost, just make sure it's warm and make sure you've broken stuff up. You don't have to use vermiculite, okay. I do, I like it, but that's me, okay? That's what I do. You don't have to do it this way, okay? There's no hard and fast rules to this. The important thing is you just give it a go. So, we're happy that the soil is ready to be used now. We've broken it up, it's nice and warm, and we're good with our pore sizes, okay? So, that's good. So now I take my little seed tray. This is just, oop, if I put that down there you see it better, little half seed tray, okay? It's not in the best of conditions, it's a wee bit broken and it's a wee bit tender these days, but reuse, reuse, reuse. I take my soil and I start to fill my seed tray. Okay, now what I'm deliberately doing is overfilling it. You want to deliberately overfill it. So you've got it looking something like that. Then what I'm going to do, give it a wee tap down and hope the laptop doesn't fall off the bench. There I go, laughing at my own jokes. Now that I've done that, okay, if we just clear our feet a little bit here, hold on. Let's get this out of the way a wee touch so you can actually see what I'm doing. What I'm going to do now, got a ruler here. Doesn't have to be a wooden ruler, could be a plastic ruler, doesn't matter. Anything with a nice clean edge on it. And what I'm going to do is put that right into the middle, and with a sawing action, I'm going to take that excess soil that way. I'm going to take that excess soil that way. And what you should be left with is a nice level surface for those tiny little seeds to go onto. Now here you can see there's a big bit there. I'm going to take that out, get rid of that, okay? Just fill it in a wee touch and then just level it off. So even with your multi-purpose compost you can do the same. You can just level it off a little bit just so that all your seeds have got a nice level playing field, so to speak. And again, let's get rid of that. Get that out of the way. Okay. At this point, you could sow your seeds. Okay, that would be perfectly happy. You'd be perfectly happy to do that. God, there's another bit. Look, get rid of that. Fill that in just gently. Okay. What I do, and again, this is very much a preference. Get this. This is called a tamper board. Piece of wood. Mr. B made it for me. Give it a very gentle press down, and that just puts a little bit of firmness into the soil. Now, you're saying there to yourselves, hold on a minute, she just said to get all the air through the soil and she's just squeezed the living daylights out of it. You're not pressing so hard that you're going to make a hole down to Australia. What you're doing with this is just putting a little bit of compression back in. Equally, if you don't have that, you could just give it another couple of good taps like that. Okay? Why am I telling you to do that when I've just asked you to put air through it? There will still be air through this. If you've ever watered a really, really dry plant, a plant that's not had any watering for a good while, you start to see all these air bubbles coming out the soil when you do water it. Well, that just proves that there's oxygen in that soil level. Okay? So, even though I've just given that a little squeeze down like that, there will still be plenty of oxygen in there. The other reason I've done that is because your roots like a nice firm base. Okay? So that helps to provide a good root structure as well once you're doing that. Okay, so we're good to sow. Okay, now what I'm doing here, this is just a flower that I'm going to sow just now, just to show you. This is Aquilegia. It's called Chocolate Soldier. I bought it purely and simply because it had the word chocolate in it. Now, these are great because they give you the instructions on the back. Okay. So it tells you when you can sow it, it tells you when you can plant it out, and it tells you when you're going to get flowers. You just have to look at the instructions. This is your best guide. So we want to sow it thinly in a tray using a good quality compost. And then it's saying here to cover with a thin layer of vermiculite. You don't have to do that. If you didn't have vermiculite, you could just put a very, very light, thin layer of sieved compost over the top, as long as they're getting light. That's the important thing. Seal the tray in a clear plastic bag and keep it on a sunny windowsill at 15 to 20 degrees. And don't exclude light, as this helps the germination. Okay, so there's your instructions on the back. That's what we're sowing just now, just some flowers. It's going to be absolutely impossible to show you the seeds themselves here because they are tiny. I'll do my best. I'm going to open this right up. I'm going to make a little V in the seed packet, give my hand a wee wipe, and I'm going to put all of those seeds on there. And they've all got stuck in the corner. This is what usually happens. There you are. Very, very carefully pull all of these out. Okay, so get them all together in a little heap. Just pick them up between your thumb and your forefinger, and then just very, very gently spread them over the surface of the prepared compost. like so. Okay, now again, you don't have to do this. What I usually do at this point is just to give those seeds a little press down, just to make contact with the soil. Okay, there shouldn't be any sticking to the bottom, and there isn't. Okay, so that's what I do. You don't have to do that. And then these ones asked for vermiculite, so I've got a little bit of that. Remember I said you could use sieved compost here. Okay, but remember these ones need light, so all we're doing is just adding a little layer of this over the top, so it allows the light in. But the other thing that this does, when you've got really small seeds like that, it just helps to hold them in place. Because if you were to go outside that door today of the polytunnel, all your little seeds would just get blown away. So we've got a nice little thin layer of vermiculite over the surface, like so. Okay, and that's it. So that's how to sow really small seeds. And all I would do, just to finish this off, I'll get myself a wee plant label, preferably one that's not been written on. There we go, here's the clean ones. Is it? No, it's not. Where are my clean ones? Dear me. I did have some prepared earlier. There we go. There's a clean one. Put that one back. And I just write the date on it. 16th of April. And I just write Chocolate Soldier. There we go. So I give it a wee label so I know what it is. Pop that in at the edge. Give it a wee clean up. And what I would do with this now, give it a little bit of water just to start that germination process off, and we're good to go. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Give it a go. Some cucumber seeds. So I'm using nice square pots this time, and I'm just going to fill it in exactly the same way that we did earlier. So using the same seed compost that we made earlier. Yep, same thing. I'm just going to fill it up, overfill it, give it a good wee tamp down. I'm going to just put a wee bit more in there again, overfill it. Exactly the same thing. Okay, can you see that okay? Hopefully you can see that okay. And you saw an action over the top. Yep, done that. Get this back out the road. Okay, we tap down like so just to get a little bit of consolidation. Remember we said earlier, just for a nice firm base for our roots, or again if you've got a wee tamper. I've got a little range because these are what Andy made for me. Wee gentle press down. Nice level surface again. Okay, so prepared in exactly the same way. Okay, and this time we're going to use our cucumber seeds. Now, this is a variety called Market More. Bigger seed this time, you'll see, much bigger seed. Okay, you can see them quite easily. So cucumber seeds want to be sown at about 1 centimetre depth, and you sow them on their sides. Okay, so I've got a little marker here, and we've got 1 centimetre depth. And what I'm going to do is actually just make 4 little holes. Now normally I would just sow 2 in a pot. Why would I sow 2? Just in case one doesn't make it. You've always got a backup. At the moment I'm sowing a little bit more than normal because of the situation where I'm just being joined by a giant bumblebee as well. You can probably hear it. Okay, so I'm actually putting more into this pot just because I've got a lack of space now, because there's so much going on at the moment. And I am just trying to maximise everything that I've got. So normally I would just put 2 in a pot. I'm putting 4 in today. Okay, so we're going to take that little cucumber seed, and what we're going to do with it is pop it in and put it on its side. Okay, So you don't want to be laying it flat, you want to be laying it on its side edge. Okay, how do I know that? Because that's what it said in the seed packet. Okay, so there's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, there we go. Pop your extra seeds back in here, and these are nice and big, so much more easily handled than the seeds that we had earlier. And if I just tip that very, very gently so that you can see, hopefully without the seeds falling out, there's the 4 of them in the pot there. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just close the tops over, like so. Cover them up very, very gently. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could just add a little bit of your sieved compost on the top, or your nice fine compost, however you've done it. Okay, re-tidy up again, and then I would get my pen, get my label as before, and write it on. Exactly the same as you did before. So this time we've got today's date, and we've got cucumber, and because these are vegetable seeds, I usually write how many I've sown in the pot so that I know. Okay, and the variety, this one, you don't have to do this, I like to know what ones I've eaten. This one is called Market More. Okay, now you can sow them at this time of year in April. You'll very often see on the seed packets, you'll see things like sow under glass, and all that means is in a warm enough greenhouse, yeah, or if you've got a propagator, there we go, just like that, or somewhere that you can grow them in a protected environment, because of course up here we can't direct sow. You can direct sow straight outside in May for cucumbers, but again, maybe not even here. Down south, yeah, but maybe not up here. But yeah, you can sow these under glass, and that's all that means. So we could put this on a window ledge right now, pop a wee clear plastic bag over the top of it, and that would get it nice and warm for those seeds to germinate. Or we could put it in a little propagator if we've got one, or we could even put a little plastic cover over the top. You know how you've seen these before, but you can get a wee plastic cover and pop it over the top and make a mini propagator, yeah? And then when these have grown on and they're big enough and you've hardened them off, you would be able to put them in your greenhouse from that point. I certainly wouldn't try them outside, not in Thurso. Maybe others have tried, I don't know, but certainly I think it's probably a wee bit cold to have these guys outside. I usually grow these either in my greenhouse, or I have them in my polytunnel. I'm quite sure you could grow them on a window ledge. Give it a go. Yeah, there you go, cucumbers.